Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter Mervin Matthew. Thank you for joining us. Our top stories this news time: a new housing complex in LAPLAINE named after Parliamentary Representative Honorable Peter Seja. President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles SAVARIN, calls for an end to the U.S. economic blockade against Cuba. Details of these and other stories coming up. Thank you for staying with us. 66 residential units presented to residents of LAPLAINE this week will be named after Parliamentary Representative Honorable Peter Seja. This was confirmed during the official handover ceremony by Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit.
In a show and demonstration of my gratitude, and of course that of all of us here in this constituency, and for the extraordinary performance of our Parliament here, Honorable Peter Seja, in this constituency for the last 15 years. And I will say to you, you can say what you want about Peter Seja, you cannot deny the fact that he has worked hard for this constituency. And so we must never treat lightly the contributions of our conscientious leaders. People who have been there for us, not in the good times, but in the most difficult of times. And in every difficult instance we've had in the last 15 years here in this constituency, you have been able to rely on Peter Seja. And so I want there to be a lasting monument in this constituency, that succeeding generations, when they ask, who is that name, will be in a position to explain to them who that person is or who that person was. And so we shall name this housing as the Peter Seja Housing Complex. Because I want all of you who will be occupants of these housing units, and all of us who will traverse this roadway from time to time, to be reminded that we must always show gratitude to the contributions of Honorable Peter Seja in this constituency. And so we shall put up, Peter, one of your best pictures, so get your best picture so we can do that. But we thank him for his service, and as I have said publicly on numerous occasions, his service to the country is not over.
A project manager of Montreal Management Consultants, Christopher Timming, says high-quality construction techniques have been engaged in the development of the residential units in LAPLAINE. Timmins described in detail what the units entail as he addressed the official handover ceremony on Tuesday.
Here in LAPLAINE, we have 66 new residences consisting of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom homes. Each of the 2- and 3-bedroom homes have 2 bathrooms, with the master bedroom in every case having an ensuite bathroom. These bathrooms are fitted out to a standard better than most hotels. The kitchens come with fitted kitchen units, cooker hoods to remove any steam cooking smells as fast as possible, and we have ensured that, unlike some developers, not one piece of chipboard has been used anywhere in the construction of these homes, guaranteeing the longevity of the fittings. The main structure of the building is reinforced concrete, along with certified hurricane-resistant windows. And extra precautions were taken in the detailing of the balconies to ensure that any build-up of water on them in a climatic event cannot enter the building.
Timmins explained that the homes have been outfitted with several safety and security components.
This sort of residential building requires many more items than a standard type of residential building. We have active fire detection, fire alarm systems, fire hose reels and firefighting equipment. Every access and egress route is equipped with emergency lighting in the event of power failure. Each apartment in the building has been fireproofed with fire-resistant materials, providing a protected fire compartment both from the public areas and the neighbouring apartment. The sewage treatment plant has aerators, ultraviolet treatment and chlorine dosing facilities.
He further explained that contractors are in the final stages of commissioning of several systems at the residences.
So what is the present state of the buildings? We are in the final stages of commissioning systems such as ventilation, fire alarms, etc. Dominica are in the process of bringing in the new power supply, which entails a complete upgrade to the existing infrastructure in the village. We hope that within 2 weeks that the first residents in the first building will be moving into their new homes, very quickly followed by the residents of the second building.
Timmins has appealed to the new residents to care for their new homes.
The number of skilled Dominican builders presently employed across our projects is now in excess of 430. As we always like to say, during the design and construction of these buildings, they become our babies. We are present at the conception and at the delivery. During those months, many people have sweated, shed blood and tears to deliver these buildings. As we hand over the care of our babies to you, the new residents, we hope that you will care for them as much as we have.
Meantime, 2 residents of LAPLAINE, Connie Stedman and Salvina Walsh, are elated that they are owners of the residential units at the new housing complex in LAPLAINE.
I am filled with mixed emotions as I stand here before this large gathering, knowing that tonight, where my girls and I get a home, a long stretch of a place that we could finally call home is over. On behalf of my children and myself, I would like to say a big thank you to the government of Dominica for choosing me to be a recipient of one of the beautiful apartments. Yes. Following the passage of Hurricane Maria, we were left stranded for a few weeks and were at the mercy of families and friends. The situation got terrible that I finally decided to collect scraps of galvanized and wood to build a small home for my family. It was certainly the most difficult period. I was on the point of giving up when the Honorable Peter Seja and Pastor Mike came to my rescue and I was able to build a small house for my girls and I. Although it was small with no toilet or bathroom, our new home brought joy to my 2 high school girls, 1 primary school student, and a toddler. As a single mother, life has not been easy, but today, I can say to all that words cannot express the joy and gratitude that fills me. As I received the letter of confirmation of my new home, where my girls and I can be comfortable and not having to worry when it rains or having to run to the neighbor's house every time the weather reporter says there's a tropical storm.
I'm so thankful on behalf of my children and I. Yes, we thank you, Prime Minister. It's a pleasure. I've read how much houses already for my children, and now today I'm getting a keys of my own. Thank you, Prime Minister, and your cabinet. Thank you. Mr. Senator, thank you.
In other news, President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savara, has expressed gratitude to international agencies who came forward post-Hurricane Maria to assist the government of Dominica in establishing the Climate Resilience Executing Agency, or what is referred to as the CREAD. Operating as a statutory government agency, CREAD leads and coordinates strategic initiatives across sectors in Dominica with the goal of making the country the world's first climate resilient nation. CREAD increases the ability of the business community, public services and social sector partners to build strong and resilient communities, develop adaptive infrastructure, accelerate economic growth, strengthen institutional systems, and enhance Dominica's capacity to respond to the local impacts of global climate change. The island's head of state said thanks to several partners in the process during his address to the United Nations last week.
Following Hurricane Maria, which caused damage and loss estimated at 226% of our gross domestic product, great urgency was given to rebuilding the country and to build back better. However, experience has taught us that a new approach to project management and implementation had to be adopted if intended targets were to be met in a timely manner. To assist in overcoming this potential challenge, the government established by statute the Climate Resilience Act No. 16 of 2018 established the Climate Resilient Executing Agency for Dominica, the CREAD, to develop a climate resilient and recovery plan, coordinate reconstruction work, and facilitate the smooth and efficient implementation of projects. Mr. President, my government is most appreciative of the support provided by our bilateral partners who have worked with us in setting up the CREAD, and we are especially grateful to the British government operating through the Department of International Development, DFID, to Canada and the World Bank for their support in its establishment and operation.
President Savara told the UN that the government of Dominica continues to explore the use of renewable energy to fuel the growth of the nation's economy. He made particular reference to government's geothermal energy pursuits.
Dominica, by any measure, is an insignificant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Notwithstanding this, we believe our actions must match the spirit of the climate conventions we have signed. We have therefore developed a low-carbon climate resilient development strategy. The strategy emphasizes the development and use of renewable energy to fuel our development and as a means of earning export revenue. A recently completed Resilient Sustainable Energy Plan confirms that Dominica is in a position to generate approximately 90% of the country's electricity needs using renewable sources, primarily geothermal, by 2029. Realize a reduction in the annual cost and volume of diesel fuel used for electricity generation by 94% and reduce the total cost to generate electricity between 2020 and 2038 by at least 44%.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I want to thank the Minister of Tourism and his team for really coming on board on this project and supporting it. And once it is completed, like I said, you will see an enhanced trail.
Welcome back. President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savarin, has called for an end to the economic blockade imposed on Cuba by the United States government. The U.S. currently imposes a commercial, economic, and financial embargo against Cuba. As of 2018, the Cuban embargo is enforced mainly through 6 statutes: the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961, the Cuban Assets Control Regulations of 1963, the Cuban Democracy Act of 1992, the Helms-Burton Act of 1996, and the Trade Sanctions Reform and Export Enhancement Act of 2000. The Helms-Burton Act further restricted United States citizens from doing business in or with Cuba and mandated restrictions on giving public or private assistance to any successor government in Havana unless and until certain claims against the Cuban government were met. In 1999, President Bill Clinton expanded the trade embargo by also disallowing foreign subsidiaries of U.S. companies to trade with Cuba. President Savarin called for an end to the economic embargo against the government and people of Cuba as he addressed the United Nations General Assembly last week.
We again call for an end to the unjustified, continued economic blockade against Cuba, so as to free up the vast potential of the Cuban people to take up their rightful role in the global economic and trading system. We also call for an end to the unilateral sanctions imposed against Venezuela, which we believe is serving no useful purpose and which rather serves to cause misery and suffering to the Venezuelan people. We continue to call for dialogue and for countries to support the peaceful mediation amongst disputing parties within Venezuela to achieve an outcome that will serve the best interest of all Venezuelans. Let us all adhere to the provisions of Article 2 of the United Nations Charter, particularly in this hemisphere where we should aspire to become a zone of peace and development.
President Savarin, in his address to the UN, also called for the peaceful reunification of China.
Mr. President, the climate is at war with our member states. Let us not aggravate the situation by creating hostility and war among ourselves, particularly in this hemisphere. We support the One China policy and call for dialogue to achieve the peaceful reunification of China. We support dialogue and negotiations to bring about the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. We support dialogue and negotiations to resolve the disputes in the Middle East, including the possibility of a nuclear arms race.
In more news, L'Express des Îles has increased its ferry services to Dominica to facilitate travel to the island for the 2019 staging of Dominica's World Creole Music Festival. This was confirmed at a news conference on Wednesday by Michelle Joseph of HHV Whitchurch, which is the local agent for the ferry service.
We have launched a promotion in Guadeloupe and Martinique, which allows the patrons the opportunity to purchase a bundled ticket at a great price of €189. This price is inclusive of a round-trip ticket and a season ticket to the World Creole Music Festival. With that said, we wish the Discover Dominica Authority success as they culminate the final preparations throughout the next few weeks.
Meantime, Digicel is back on board as the official digital lifestyle partner for the World Creole Music Festival. Tirella Alexander is marketing executive for Digicel.
This sees Digicel ensuring seamless internet connectivity for various work streams ahead of and during the festival, and facilitating the use of digital platforms to promote the event and the Dominica's tourism product by extension to key destinations. The festival presents an avenue for our customers, Digicel customers, to live and love the experience, connecting to the things and people they love, especially during the celebration of our independence. This time around, Digicel customers can be winners of a VIP experience for 2 or nightly tickets to the festival by simply activating a 7 or 30-day LTE Go data and talk bundle, paying their bills in full and on time, or by signing up for variety or premier TV and internet packages.
The festival will be held from October 25th to the 27th, 2019. In more news, Bishop of Roseau, His Lordship Gabriel Malzier, has called for peace during the campaign leading up to the general elections, which are constitutionally due in 2020. Bishop Malzier made the appeal at a press conference this week.
One of the things that the church tries to, that always proclaims, is the question of peace. We really would like, that the pre-election period would be prepared in relative peace, and that the interest of everybody would be considered, and that it would be a period of rational dialogue, that people would be able to see the value of an election and how it is meant to determine what our next leadership is going to be, but it has to be done on a very rational level, not emotions flying about and people taking decisions that or expressing opinions that will not yield to something positive. We know that it is a very volatile period, and therefore we all together as a nation seeking for peace, we should work towards that.
And finally, this news time, the 14th edition of Creole in the Park was launched at a press conference at Flow Conference Room on Thursday. Product Development Manager of Discover Dominica Authority, Kathleen Coffey John Jules, expressed DDA's willingness to continue to work with Flow towards the success of Creole in the Park.
The increase in visitor arrival during the week leading up to Creole in the Park is testament to the important economic contribution that this event and the positive impact on Dominica's economy through craft vendors, or many food vendors, or taxi drivers, or car rental companies, and all the other service providers who benefit from this event. As we embrace this independence season under the theme Saluting Resilience and Rejuvenation 2 years on, we look forward to living out this theme through the explosion of Creole food, which will entice our palates at Creole in the Park, and the energized lineup that we're anticipating for the 3 days. Discover Dominica Authority commends Flow for this initiative and wish to publicly state our support to the success of this year's Creole in the Park.
Meantime, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Roland Royer, is certain that Creole in the Park will be greater this year. The government of Dominica, through the Ministry of Tourism, continues to work with FLO closely with a sponsorship this year of $30,000, $10,000 in cash and $20,000 in kind in support of purchase of material for the setting up of the venue.
What is more fascinating about Creole in the Park is that it is held at the most convenient time, in the week when we celebrate our Creole heritage. You help to keep us focused on our Creoleness, and you inspire the younger generation with the quality of the music, the local cuisine on offer, and the high-quality local products on display and on sale. Today, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture wants to salute the management and staff of FLO for your relentless effort in contributing to making the independence celebrations such an exciting, colorful, and high-quality entertainment. Thanks for your continued excellent planning and execution of Creole in the Park each and every year. You have given our artists a platform to release their creativity and talent, and given us as citizens and visitors a most amazing space to meet and to be entertained.
FLO also awarded the Creole Lifetime Award to Fred Nicholas for his contribution to music in Dominica.
Fred established a recording studio called Home Alone Studio, where he produces and scores many songs for artists preparing to enter various local competitions like the NCCU Canas Contest, Song Contest, the DBS Christmas Song Contest, the Domfesta Song Contest organized by the Division of Culture, and the Dominica Association's keenly contested Calypso competition. He is the arranger of all of King Dice's slow calypsos. As a solo recording artist, Fred has produced 3 albums, Sakafet, Let's Sing, and Poor God. These contain a mix of original music and covers of some popular songs. Fred has been presented with many awards and accolades for his outstanding contribution to popular music on the island, 2 of the top being the Golden Drum Award, presented by the National Cultural Council, and the Meritorious Service Award, presented by the Government of Dominica. Today, it is with great pleasure that FLO presents you, Fred Anthony Nicholas, with the FLO Creole Lifetime Award for your dedicated service to the development of music in Dominica and the region.
Jamaican reggae artist Sanchez, Trinidadian soca artist Charles Marshall, and Dominica's Issa Banton among the acts for Creole in the Park this year. And that's news. Now for the weather outlook. A tropical wave is expected to generate an increase in cloudiness, showers, and possible isolated thunderstorms across the island chain, including Dominica, during the next 24 hours. However, by nightfall, a brief improvement in weather conditions are expected over the northern Windward Islands. Lingering moisture from this wave, together with a presence of a trough system, is expected to maintain unstable conditions across the area into the weekend. Moderate seas are expected during the next 24 hours, with waves peaking near 7 feet. And that's National Focus. This and other newscasts can be found on GIS Dominica Facebook and YouTube pages. On behalf of the GIS News Production team, I'm Mervin. Have a great weekend.